This is your final week at the MIT App Inventor station. Today we're going to create a charades game. Charades is a game where a friend tries to act out a word or a phrase and you try to guess what it is. I'm going to switch to my webcam so you can see it. Hopefully the webcam will cooperate here. There we go. So this is the app. The app is designed that it faces away from you so your friend can see the word or phrase and you cannot. So I'm going to hit start. And it's going to count down, giving me an opportunity to face the tablet away from me. And then my friend will be able to see the choice. When my friend sees the choice, they're going to act it out. I'm going to try and guess what it is. And as soon as I guess that it's making a sandwich, I'm going to shake the tablet and it's going to switch to taking a shower and then shooting a basketball. So it's going to give my friend all kinds of things to act out for me, and I'm going to try and guess them until at the very end it's going to say game over because I am out of choices. So that is what this game is going to look like. Let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to choose projects, start a new project. I'm going to call it charades. And I'm going to start adding my items. Under layout, I'm going to add a vertical arrangement. I'm going to make its height and width fill the parent so it fills up my whole screen. I'm also going to make its alignment center for both of these. Then I'm going to add in here a label, that's where my question is going to go, and a button where my start button will be. I'm going to rename those. My label is going to be called question label, and my button is going to be called go button. That's what I see in my code. My end user still sees this. So let's go back to question label and change its properties. I'm going to change it to say, are you ready? Give it a font size of 40, and I'm going to change its color. If you scroll or hover down here, it'll give you more color choices, by the way. And then for my button, I'm going to change its text to say start. So now I'm ready to add my non-visible components. I'm going to add under media, a sound. That's my ta-da sound. Let's go ahead and change its source, by the way. It's sound is a file. Your file is called ta-da, and it's under your H drive if you are in Coding Club. I'm also going to add under sensors, I'm going to add a clock so that I can execute code on a rhythm or a time interval. I'm going to click timer enabled to false, so that my timer doesn't execute when the game starts. It's going to execute when I hit the start button. We'll use the timer, by the way, to do the countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2. The time interval is in milliseconds, so 1,000 is 1 second. This will execute code every 1 second when the timer is enabled. The last thing I will add is an accelerometer sensor. An accelerometer is a mechanism inside of the tablet that tells it when it is moved, when it's tilted, it's rotated, shaken, etc. I'm going to create 3 variables in my blocks view. I'm going to leave a little room for the top one. You'll see why in a minute, because it's very different from the other variables we've created in the past. These 2 variables are going to contain a single value. This one is going to contain a list of values. It's going to contain the questions that I want my friend to act out. I'm going to call it questions. And I'm going to put a list inside of it. So it's not going to contain one value. It's going to contain a list of values. I'm going to click on the blue guy and add some more. I want it to have 5 items. And I'm going to add some text to each one. So if you think of the bottom 2 variables like each a piece of candy, think of this variable like it's a bag of candy. So it's got a number of items inside of it. I'm going to call this the questions or the items that I want my friend to act out. So I'm going to say shower. You're welcome to add your own, by the way, and there'll be some suggestions for questions on your handout. You can add your own. Just make sure that the last item is called game over to let your player know that they've reached the end of your game. The next thing I'm going to add is a variable called question number. So when I want to get a question from my questions variable, I need to know which position is it. They are position 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So I'm going to make question number a number of 1. So the first time my code runs, it's going to get question number 1, making a sandwich. Then I'll write code to make the question number 2 and 3 and 4, etc. So each time it gets a different question. I'm also going to create a variable called countdown for my initial countdown to give me a chance to tilt the tablet away from myself so I can't see it. And it's going to start at 5, say 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It'll start at 5, and then we are going to decrease it each time we run our code down by 1. So that's looking good. The next thing I'm going to do is write a procedure. A procedure is something new for us too. It's kind of a collection of blocks that we want to give a name to. So we can refer to just that name, and it reduces the amount of code we have to write and maintain. We're going to call it next question. So whenever I need the next question, I can just call this procedure. And what this procedure will do is it will change the text of the question label to one of my questions. My question is a list, so I have to say select list item from the lists menu. And it wants two things. It wants to know which list and which item. So if I hover over questions, put that there, hover over question number, I now have what I need to get question number 1. The next time this code runs, I'm going to want it to get the next question number. I'm adding an if in here under control because I want to say I never want to get more items than I have. In other words, I never want to get question number 6 because I don't have that, and that will make my code crash. My app will crash if that happens. So I'm going to say if my question number is less than 5, then I'm going to go ahead and get the next question. I'm going to pick the equals one from math and change it to less than. I'm going to say if my question number is less than 5, 5 being the number of questions that I have, then I'm going to increase the question number by 1. So I'm going to say under question number, I'm going to say set global question number to math so I can get a plus. Question number, get question number rather, plus, I'm going to grab the 0, change it to a 1. So if I am not out of questions, increase my question number to 1. So the first time this runs, it's going to give me question 1. The second time, it'll give me question 2. The third time, question 3, and so forth. So that looks good. The next thing I'm going to do is make this code actually get run by something. And we're going to do that when the accelerometer is shaken. So when accelerometer 1 is dot shaking, then I'm going to go to procedures and say, get the next question. How easy is that? I'm also going to make it play the sound to let my player know that they shook it appropriately to get to the next question. So all we have to do now is write the code for our countdown so we can get the game to actually start. The countdown is going to be from our clock. If you remember, we disabled the clock's timer. So when you start the game, this code isn't executing because the timer is disabled. Whatever I put in here is going to execute every 1 second. So what I wanted to do is say, if my countdown is still greater than 0, then keep counting down. But once I get to 0, stop counting down and play the game. So I'll go to my control. I'm going to hit if, then click the blue guy because I need an else. I'm going to click else and drag it right here, which looks weird, but it ends up being this. So I'm going to say if I need a math to get me greater than, I'll change that right now to greater than, if my global countdown is greater than, oops, under math, careful about that backpack there, greater than 1, I'm sorry, 0, then I'm going to set the question text to display my countdown. So I'm going to say set my question label.text to countdown. So it's going to say 5 and then 4, 3, 2, 1. But not yet. It says 5 every time now. I need to make my global countdown be 1 less each time. So I'm going to do it here. I'm going to say question number. I'm going to set my question number now to question number -1. So I'll go, oops, here to minus. I'm sorry, I said question number. I meant countdown. Set global countdown to global countdown -1. Can I hover here? No, but I can hover here. Question number, oops. If it doesn't quite click right, you can always just drag it out like that and put it back. And now I need to add, from math, I need to add a 1, which I'll start with 0, change that to 1. So it's going to get 5, and then set my countdown to say 4, to be 4. So the next time this gets called in a second, it'll say 4, and then 3, and then 2, and then 1, and then it'll be 0, and this will execute because it'll say my global countdown is now not greater than 0. It is 0. So now we're going to stop the timer. I'm going to go to clock 1 and disable the timer. Set clock 1.timer enabled to logic false, and go ahead and start the game. Procedures, call next question. So the only thing I have left to do is the go button. When it's clicked, will start my timer, because my timer is disabled, which means this code isn't running because it's not, the timer isn't enabled. This happens on the timer's interval. So when I say go button.click, I want it to set my clock timer enabled to true. Set clock 1.timer enabled to true. And then I want to also tell it to set my global variables. I'll do it here. Set my 2 global variables, my countdown and my question number, to their initial values. What that does is the next time you play the game, if you want to play it twice, everything is all set back to the way it was when the game initially started. So my global countdown, I want that to be 5. My question number will go back to 1, so that it'll do my question 1 again. So that is essentially the game. If you have finished this code, congratulations. You can decorate your screen if you want, make it different colors, make it pretty, play it with a friend in your club, but go get your worksheets, your handouts to start executing, to start writing this code, and I hope you enjoy it.